Howdy gamers, it's your old friend Baba G again. Meditation. Meditation today. You've already tried it. You already wrote it off. You already have opinions on meditation. You already sat down, close your eyes, try to think about nothing, which makes you think about everything. And then you spent however long you sat there waiting for something to happen, or to feel calm, or to feel the stress relief, or to feel different, and nothing came. So you stopped, which is completely logical and rational because you were doing a practice. You were doing something, you were waiting for something to arrive when, here's the zinger of today's episode, you were waiting for something to arrive when the practice was about watching things depart, okay? And maybe nobody's put it to you that way. Maybe they have and you haven't internalized it. Maybe you don't care. Let's talk about meditation very fast, okay? This video is not about calming down or stress relief or a performance or something to add to the list so you can tell people that you meditate, okay? That you're really spiritual. Meditation, as we said, is the practice of watching, and it's the practice of returning. Returning to what, you ask? To who you decided to be, okay? And if you've been here and you've already made that decision, you let something go, you found the framework, you've named the framework, you looked at yourself, the framework of your mind. You looked yourself in the eye and said, this is who I am now. This is what I move as, okay? And the question is, what happens after that? Okay? What actually happens is, you decide on Monday night, Tuesday, or you decide on Tuesday, and Tuesday you feeling it, okay? The decision is clean. You know who the fuck you are, okay? You move through your day like someone who has already become what they're becoming. You know what I'm saying? You're in the BMW. You're driving it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're actually driving, because the decision is already made. You're already there. It's happening, okay? Wednesday, that was Tuesday. Wednesday is just fine. Thursday, something happens. Nothing dramatic, nothing too noticeable. A comment or a pang of rejection, or a day that doesn't look like you planned. The old version of you, the one that you thought you left behind, just quietly shows back up. Doesn't announce itself, it just starts making small decisions. Talking you out of commitments that you made to yourself. The little things, okay? And you don't notice it happening because it doesn't feel like betrayal, okay? It feels like being reasonable. It feels like an escalating naturalness, okay? But it's the old you. And we're going to call that, for the sake of this video, we're going to call that the drift, okay? Drift. And the drift doesn't happen as like a failure of willpower. It's just what happens when there's no practice of returning. The decision you made about who you are doesn't hold itself because listen up, nothing external holds it for you. Nothing external holds that decision. It requires a consistent return to the ground of who you decided to be. Okay, back to the video title. That's what meditation is for. Okay, it's not really a technique, but anyways, here's where it gets interesting. If you're doing the work, really seeing yourself as who you decide to be, holding that image and living from it as you go into sleep, whatever, and that technique, that's already a form of meditation, as we talked about. Visualization is real, and it counts, and it belongs to this practice. But hold up, okay? There's a layer underneath that visualization. That visualization alone doesn't reach. And to get there, you have to learn to be still in a different way, okay? Because what consistent meditation actually does, and what people miss, it's a methodology to train the instrument of your mind, your awareness. Awareness is a tool, and like any tool, it can be sharp or it can be dull, okay? Consistent practice is what sharpens it, okay? when your awareness is trained, you catch the drift earlier. You're catching yourself. You notice the moment that the old voice starts to show up, making its case in subtle ways, and you see it for what it is. And then you return. Not because you're disciplined, but because returning has just become you, okay? It's become what you do, but it's not discipline. It's become you. The returning, the catching yourself. There's something underneath even that. Every tradition that got serious about this stuff eventually arrived at the same point in the same room. Stillness is the primary practice. Not because stillness is peaceful, but because stillness is where you find what's actually there when everything falls away, okay? And there's a practice called shoonya, sitting in consciousness nothingness. And I've touched on it enough myself to tell you that the whole floor drops out. Everything drops out, okay? And there's something underneath identity when you realize that, underneath the decision itself. We'll come back to that. That's getting a little more advanced than I want to. So make it quick today. Here's a homework time. The one thing I want you to do, meditation. Tomorrow morning before anything else gets to you, tonight as you drifting off and dropping everything, hopefully you do that. And just sit down, lay down. We're not worried about posture, not to clear your mind, not to breathe right, not to achieve anything. Your homework is just to follow the breath. Close the eyes, follow the breath. And watch what comes up without grabbing it or pushing it away or running from it. You just watch it. You just witness. You just witness it till it passes, okay? You're waiting for something to arrive, but remember, this is about watching things depart. This is the practice of watching things depart. And when your mind drifts, and it will constantly, that's not failure. That's the repetition. You notice it and return. Return is the practice. If it feels like nothing is happening, good. Do it anyway. You're not chasing a feeling. You're training an instrument. You're training your mind. You're confirming who you are, that you decided in the silence before the world or anything gets to you. Before anything can get in your mental, you decide who you are, and you are abiding in that, okay? I'm not going to tell you that you should meditate every day, make a practice out of this, blah, 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 blah. Frankly, you already kind of know that. If you're into this stuff, you already know that. You've known it for a while, and that's not even the problem. It's not what we're talking about. The problem is feeling like you have to. Like it's one more thing to do, one more metric to get wrong, or again to perform. It's not that. Meditation is the being abiding in you. It's the deciding, the meditating. It's the simplest thing, baby. You sit down, you watch the breath, and watch it. Stay on it. Watch things leave, and in that stillness, you start to remember who you decided to be and who you actually are. The real thing that is you, okay? Simple. Simple, not easy. Okay? You've already made the hard decision if you've been watching the previous stuff. This is just how you keep it. Stay rooted in it. Don't want to talk too long about meditation or anything. That's the basis of it. We'll get into more fun stuff later. I love you. All right. Quick and easy.